I'm starting the stream.
Oh, shame.
Uh,
Okay, all right. We'll wait for you to join in, but no worries, no worries, no worries. Technical difficulties are part of the sort of process here.
Yeah,
They
this was
always
just
have
it
happened,
crashing.
so.
I don't even know what is going on. Yeah, you guys go on, and I'll join in whenever the fucking thing boots up. Just ignore
No
me.
worries, no worries, no worries. Anyway, we will wait. It's not a problem. Like I don't think
Okay,
I'm pretty relaxed.
It's up now.
So we'll just.
It's up now, but I don't know
is
if
it
we're
up now?
sharing chat now. I don't think.
If we're not, then I can resend it through. It says we're still sharing chat.
Okay.
Yugo chatters. Wait, no, we're not. Let me do it.
Yeah, now we gotta redo it.
Where is it? Okay. I will share the chat. Okay. There we go.
Okay, lovely.
There we go. There we go. All right.
Okay,
all sorted.
apologies, but that's out of our control. It's just it's all incompatible as fuck. Yeah.
That's Twitch, you know. Okay. All right. So, I guess we will just let Vlad take it away with what's happening with you, the whole process behind it, and then, you know, we'll interject. And once again, you know, I don't know if you've had a convo like this, but it's very relaxed. So, you know, don't
Great.
You can swear, you know, that's fine.
Okay. Hey. So, yeah, I think maybe I can start by saying, you know, what's going on immediately, and then give some kind of background to who am I and so forth. So, basically, I'm one of the organizers behind the small group of activists in Latvia. For the record, in Latvia, it's very empty regarding the leftist movements. There are no leftist bars, there are no leftist spaces, no like explicitly leftist collectives. It's quite challenging even to find a place where you can just in a relaxed atmosphere talk about, you know, how you hate, like, I don't know, patriarchy, capitalism, and that you just discuss these topics. Even it's quite difficult to find a comfortable place. So me and a bunch of my friends, we were talking about that oh, maybe there should be some kind of space, especially we were looking at Lithuania and some other countries. We were looking at how these leftist social centers work around Europe, and we thought maybe we could make something similar in Latvia. And long story short, around a year ago, we started this community center, which was called Maiznica. In Latvian, it means like a bread store. And it's, of course, a little bit a reference to the bread tube and so on. And the space where we organized it is basically a former bread store it was adjacent to the bread factory of Riga.
That's cool.
So there is like this that Stalinist decor with wheat and so forth, and with bread. So yes, and basically through the year we were trying to organize the left-wing events, films, discussions. We were trying to create this third space where people can just go and drink coffee for free or just to chat for free. And we've been under monitoring of state securities. And long story short, on 20th of May, I received this letter from the Ministry of Internal Affairs that I'm blacklisted from Latvia without any previous warnings, previous explanations. It's just I'm sitting at work and receiving this letter that due to left-wing extremism and communistic beliefs, I pose a national threat to Latvia, and I'm subject to immediate expulsion.
Jesus.
So it was an incredible shock. There was also an evaluation of my personal life there, because they need to understand if this punishment is commensurable. And they listed that I lived in Latvia for 8 years. I study in the university. I work here. I also, through this 8 years, I managed to gather up some money and even buy a flat. It's all means nothing. And it's basically the benefit of me being out of Latvia is more than protecting my private life, because I'm so dangerous. In addition, the basic of this story is that this decision is made by a secret report by state security, and what's on this report is not disclosed. It's complete mystery, and that's why I don't even know what was the specific reason. But this is where the story gets a bit more crazy because, well, I have to leave Latvia on 20th of May. We call the lawyers together with our collectives. We see what we can do. And one of the lawyers say that I need to leave right now unless I want to be expelled like to Russian border, which I hold the Russian citizenship. And it means that if I would go to Russia, there is a chance that, like, because we openly support Ukraine, because we also work with Ukrainian refugees in Latvia, I would probably go to jail in Russia, like, or something similar. That's why I just pack my stuff really, really fast, and 2 hours I'm traveling to Vilnius in Lithuania, where I stay at some of our comrades who are organized in Lithuania. We were preparing the appeal for the court. We were building up our case. We were trying to basically respond to this accusation by building a full-on report of everything that I have done, which was remotely left-wing, like relatable,
Yeah.
in Latvia.
Okay, so for example, what were those things? Those security threats to the state of Latvia that you supposedly have done. What were the things in leftism that you engaged in? Handing out coffee for people? Is that like the extent?
Yes and no. So basically, it would kind of go a bit into my background, but in 2 words, I started with actually with coffee, because in Latvia among all the leftist collectives which we were looking for, we were thinking maybe we shouldn't build something, we should join somebody, and we found this little Zapatista coffee store. Basically, two quite older anarchists were selling this coffee. We were trying to organize film nights with them. We were showing some films about some classics, for example, The Take by Naomi Klein. We were showing some South Korean trade union films. We were showing some documentaries, organizing discussions around them. And then we also organized a festival in Riga, which is called Riga Anarchist Book Fair. And we were thinking that, okay, maybe if we call ourselves, if we kind of take the identity of anarchist, it would be a bit easier, because in Latvia, if you just say the word socialism, that's it. People have very strong connotations with Soviet occupation, with Soviet Union, and it's basically directly tied up to Russia, Putin, and invasion of Latvia. Because there is quite a big concern of people in Latvia that Putin will invade Latvia. And it's happening also because Latvia accepting a lot of refugees from Ukraine, and people from Ukraine tell what's going on in Ukraine. And of course, like, Latvian people have deep concern that it might happen to them as well. And this kind of creates this, a culture of fear which government is using. That's why we took this identity of anarchists, because we're thinking, we're just punks, we play music, we're just having fun. And we organized this also the festival, where we invited like comrades from Italy, from Lithuania, to sell books, to organize lectures about also Palestine and so forth. Yes, and in addition to that, our collective is the one who is organizing pro-Palestine in Latvia, and actually that's how we grew significantly. Like, that's how our movement started to a new level. Since after October 7th, many of us were starting to investigate a bit more about Palestine, about history of Palestine, and the last straw was that we saw a huge pro-Israeli protest in Riga, where people were just like going around the city with Israeli flags, and it was like unapologetically one way, like it was only Israel's Western civilization and so on. And many people were independently, like from each other, very frustrated, and we were looking for each other. some people organize movie nights, some people organize lectures, and that's how we kind of like by attending each other events, we made a collective and started organizing and organizing protests pro-Palestine. And so this could be quite a risky thing to do in Latvia, since there is a very heavy anti-Islamic sentiment, unfortunately, in Riga. But if we're talking about also our space, Maiznica, again, we were showing films, we were making discussions, book discussions, for example, Orientalism, for example, Eric Hobsbawm on nationalism, and some other books like that. And the final cherry on top, which I think is one of the biggest reason why I was deported, is that I organized an open discussion about ideology. Which basically is is how to apply Marxism to understand ideology, right? So I explained in this like I had like a little introductory 20-minute lecture about what is Marxism, how is it like developed into like semiotics, into Louis Althusser, into Stuart Hall, and so forth. And then I just like we were just having an open discussion. And apparently, on this very lecture and this very discussion, there was a spy by state security. And this spy,
My word.
yeah, and basically, this spy, long story short, he was also attending all of the events of our collective since April, like all of them.
Feds
Then,
were fed.
like yeah. So basically, this discussion that I organized happened in the end of April, and then in May I'm deported. Then this dude goes to like the festival that we are organizing, and he didn't see me there. So he writes to me in Instagram. I didn't know that he's a spy. He asked me, "Oh, dude, I didn't see you in the book fair. Was it you who was deported?" Because at the time my comrades started to already raise money for lawyers, and they just said that somebody was deported. Please donate. And he wrote to me. I said, "Of course, yes, it was me." I was kind of emotional, and I spilled all the beans. Said that yes, I was deported.
Oh my
There was
word.
no explanation. And then his conscience took place, and he went to his employers and
Holy
asked,
shit.
"Why did you deport Vlad? Why did you deport him?" And they said, like it's a secret, we cannot tell you. And then they said, "Oh, he's actually Russian, no, blah blah blah," just like common gaslighting. And then this dude
Yeah.
goes to Facebook and writes a whole like 3 or 5 pages post about like confession, like that he worked with proofs, with like screenshots, how security services contact him. And he said that he has mental problems. He's also like a former drug addict. And he was basically kind of being like manipulated into working there a little bit, because they were promising him that, you will be watching for like dangerous criminals, you will be looking for like corruption scandals, it will
And
be like
terrorists,
journalism,
Doing your
like
duty.
things like that.
Yeah.
you will be doing your part, you will be a hero. And this guy, he has somewhat like this necessity for attention, and he really wants like to be. He writes it himself. I'm not kind of attacking him in this sense. And he takes the bait. He goes and for spying for me, he received 300 euros per month. And also a bicycle. They gifted him a bicycle,
Oh my God.
which I like.
Fucking
I
sketch.
appreciate. Yeah. And then basically, this dude spills all these beans, and he basically says, "I don't care. I'm ready to go to jail tomorrow because I don't understand why should I spy for just like peaceful people showing some, I don't know, like academic lectures." Because the funny part that this lecture that I gave it at my university in where I study in Riga, in Latvian university, and I had a subject of semiotics, and I prepared a lecture on Marxist semiotics, and I received a 9 out of 10. Like it was like brilliant presentation. And I thought, okay, maybe if it's such a good, valuable lecture, I can tell it publicly. And save anything Marx or like left-wing related in public. So later on, of course, this dude is not like suspended by state security. Everything is fine. Like they just ignore him. Nothing happened. A lot of people don't trust him. They think that he's like he doesn't have a good reputation, so people think that he's like making shit up. When we after we confirmed that it's okay to contact and to confirm it, there is no danger for us to confirm that it's secret or not. Confirmed it and went public, and media. We gathered some media attention around it, and of course, yeah, he also gained his like 15 minutes of fame. He was invited to television and so on and so forth. But yeah, apparently this is.
But did
Yeah,
that
like
lead to anything when it comes to your status? Okay, he was invited to TV. He said whatever he said. Good for him. He
Yeah.
cleaned his conscience, etc., etc. But did that in any way impact your case with the state?
Yeah, so my case is still going because we had a court, right? We had a court last Tuesday, and we presented also the in evidence. We also presented the full Facebook post. We presented all of the possible. Among the events that I organized, I also explained in detail what was my lecture about, what was the discussion about, and what were my intentions with that. Because obviously, my intentions were not to cause any kind of like harm or violence. It's just basically at this level, it's education. Because in Latvia, it's the common sense is that anything left wing is bad, is a harm for society. And at our point, like there is no like it's any kind of direct action or protesting of this kind is very difficult to do. Like we only thing that we can do is to basically educate people and to destigmatize left-wing discourse, and that's
Yeah.
what and so we can only do it through promotion of discussion, so that people would think for themselves and not to like read this like lozungs and stuff, but like to actually promote open discussion and to improve the image that we're just actually like being left-wing activists is cool. Like we actually think about refugees, we think about migrants, we think about workers, we think about queer people, and there is nothing like to be there to reclaim this wokeness, because there is a lot of alt-right culture, unfortunately, in Latvia. And yeah, and basically what state security, they kind of it helped my case in a way that they elaborated just a tiny bit on the reasons during the court. They just said that everything that we presented, all my story, like all the activities they organized, it's irrelevant to the case, because in their secret file there is something else.
Oh,
There is
Okay.
something else, and also that they deported me not for something dangerous that I did, right? But they say that I was about to do something so dangerous that I had to be expelled immediately, because this something that I would do was like, so bad that like no precautions about my personal life could, be taken.
It was so bad not to
And
warrant an arrest, but it was so bad to warrant a deportation. Yeah, I love that
yes,
insane parallel there. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Gosh.
And I have no clue what they like referring to. We just like me and my collective, we speculate what can it be. I remembered that in the discussion about ideology, I also said, oh, we should do more discussions like that. How about next time we talk about economics, for example? We will have a short introduction what economics is, what capitalism is. Maybe that also would be nice. And
But okay,
I think that because this. Yeah.
so chat like properly understands when it comes to this country's regulations, particularly on quote unquote spreading Marxist ideas, Marxist theory, and so on, what kind of legislation exists? Do you know? Like, what is actually illegal, so that we can maybe gauge how close you got to the illegal spreading of ideas, as absurd as it sounds,
Yeah.
but it's still the Baltics. So she's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it's also a very like gray area because officially, which is 100% like illegal, is like glorification of Soviet Union and justification of occupation of Latvia. If you do that, that's 100% illegal. About propaganda of communism, like this is where the gray area starts because we thought, like our collective genuinely thought that it's 100% illegal to propagate communism. But yeah, to glorify communism. But my lawyer recently told me that, like, per se, you can talk about communism. You can like explore it in the academic framework. You can even like discuss it in a like as long as you put it as is like an open discussion, it's legal. So but it's also very gray area. And I can give a good example because
but you were
in
preaching, though.
2020,
That's where they're getting you, because you were teaching. You're right. You were out there in front of an audience together with your colleagues. Let's call it that, to keep it, to keep you as much out of trouble when it comes to your potential case. You were teaching, therefore you were not necessarily engaging in a conversation, though a good lawyer could pitch that you were engaging in a conversation because the audience talked back at you, etc., etc. This is all intentional caveats that they want to push in their own direction. Apologies for interrupting, but yeah, they're intentionally vague. You know this better than me. Yeah, motherfuckers. Yeah.
Yeah, you put it very correctly, because also that's why we were actually like very scared to, engage in this kind of lectures. But we understood that, I mean, we have to do it. Otherwise, there is no way around it. Like, it has to be done this way or the other. And we thought that since we also kind of we have a lot of, people around our collectives. There are a lot of anarchists who also try to do things in this open, egalitarian way. And I also think that it's a very nice approach. And we wanted to organize this horizontal discussions where anybody can bring their material. For example, we just announced, okay, there will be an open discussion about ideology. You can bring, completely alt-right or right-wing, perspective to this question, no problem. But because it was a very first event, I kind of like tried to lead the way to show how like the format could work. So I brought my kind of little talk. And then later on, I encouraged everybody, okay, you can like now argue with me, you can bring your perspective, you can like start the discussion. So it was very non-intrusive. Like our goal was to make it non-intrusive in this way. But of course, I was kind of, for the first 20 minutes, it was more of a lecture because I was giving information to people and it was kind of educational. Interesting fact that in my talk, I was also criticizing some of the limits of orthodox Marxism. I was saying that this basically the classical models were expanded further. Like there is a lot of new interesting theories, but this dude who attended the discussion, he occasionally published his message, what he wrote about this specific discussion. And he said that, yes, I was glorifying communism. I was glorifying Marxism, that I was calling for, abolition of capitalism. No, yeah, of course, this dude wasn't listening to the lecture like too closely, I think. Yeah, but it was a bit crazy, and we had mixed feelings from communicating with this guy, even though I'm still grateful that he basically became a whistleblower at the end of the day. But still, I can give another example which would like give a better perspective on legislation in Latvia, because before the war in Ukraine started, it was much more relaxed. because we even had an official, registered Marxist organization. It was a Marxist circle, which was called Workers' Front of Latvia. It was basically a very classical Marxist-Leninist, like orthodox, pro-Soviet Union collectives who did this like educationals for open public, and these people basically, they were kind of okay under spreading Marxism. They didn't spread communism, and they were not accused of that. They were just like labeled themselves as Marxist organization, and they were getting away with that. It was okay. But there was, after the war started, there was in Riga we had this huge monument dedicated to liberators of Riga. It basically was a Soviet monument. Anti-fascist Soviet monument. And in local Latvian discourse, it was a symbol of occupation and consecutively a symbol of Russia, of Russian occupation. That's why, as a symbolic gesture, Latvian government decided to demolish this monument. It was a big hassle also because about 40% of Latvia are ethnically Russian people, and 50% of Riga speaks Russian. That's why for a lot of local Russian people who are not they're not from Russia, they're just ethnically Latvian citizens. They're just they just speak Russian. They were born speaking Russian. They felt that it's kind of their symbol and it's an attack on them, and it's a very big rupture in the society because of that. And what this Marxist circle did, they wrote an appeal to United Nations, because this monument was protected by United Nations. And United Nations replied to them that actually, yes, this monument is protected. Latvia, please restore it. And what Latvia did, they said, you guys are banned. That's it.
Yeah.
You guys
so they immediately banned the organization that contacted the UN to
Yes,
it's obvious they're organizing, around the Russian threat, and through that against the, in a reactionary manner through their domestic minority, and they're utilizing anti-Russian invasion of Ukraine rhetoric to stigmatize leftist and communist and anarchist-leaning individuals and ideologies generally that are, barely still existing in the country as that big evil that might rise once again, and therefore we must do everything we can in order to stop them, including, in your case, very unfortunately, immediately kick someone out the second they start promoting, not even promoting, even talking about 1% of 1% of 1% of potentially even starting an organization inside of the country. That's why, sorry for the small rant, but that's why everything that you said, and you will continue explaining, of course, this is purely just a completely you were a adequate target of a political target of the state, which wants to make sure that even at the first stage, anybody even thinking about doing something like you did, or starting an organization like you did, that they will immediately be cut at the neck, quote unquote. Thankfully, not literally.
You're setting they're setting an example of showing don't do this.
So
can I add a question on top of that? And it's very much leading on from what Yugopnik is saying. Is so, it's not likely that we're going to hear a lot about what's happening in Latvia. Okay, I'm in South Africa. Most of the chats all over the different world, not many people hear what's happening there. So you said that the spy was on TV, right? So how big of a story is this, right? Do people know your name? Is this such a massive story that your face is on newspapers? How much is this being suppressed, and what is the public support there? And everything to do with what is the press, and how big is this story?
Boy, that's a painful thing because in Latvia, a lot of things and institutions are basically divided between Russian and Latvian, even within Latvia. It's not necessarily sponsored by Kremlin. It's just there are two languages, and
Two major
from either
ethnicities of people.
yeah, like even of course like Russian community is like a minority, and they have been under some suppression from the 90s, because basically after the collapse of Soviet Union, Russian ethnically Russian people, anybody who moved to Latvia after, I think, after 45, after like the Soviet Union occupied Latvia, that basically they were denounced citizenship. All the Russians just like received a special passport which said non-citizen, and they couldn't
wow.
vote. And it's basically like 40% of country cannot vote, and it creates amazing like opposition, and it ruins every kind of chance to organization. Like no trade unions, no activism is possible like that, and all the discourse is surrounding like Latvians against Russians. Even though like it's like in very like basic, human communication, it's not exactly the case. People actually get on well, okay. Yes, there are like different communities, but they don't hate each other or something. And but it's very much, there is always this like stimulus that, oh, we should hate each other, we should hate each other. And basically that's why we have two different medias, basically. And the funny thing that like anything controversial, anything slightly like anti-government or anti the government narrative is covered only, almost only by Russian media. Because we have, for example, this huge news outlet, LSM. It has different divisions. It has both Latvian division and Russian division. And Latvian division completely ignores the story, like completely.
Wow.
And all of the Latvian language outlets, they just completely silent, like almost like to the comedic effect. While Russian speaking parts, they were interested in covering that. And just by even judging like the comment section in both, like because we eventually published our own TikToks, we tried to go a bit further, and we even said, okay, they don't want to cover it, then let's organize a protest. And a few, I think it was on when it was like on Wednesday. Yes, it was just a few days ago. Basically, my partner organized, together with my comrades, organized the protest, and then the media had to attend because there were 100 people came to the about 100
Damn.
people came to the protest for Latvia. But for Latvia, it's all very a lot, because we have zero protest culture. Most of the protests are organized by the political parties, and to basically by grifters and nothing else. And that's why it's very weird how like Russian media is kind of allowed to be controversial, so that Latvian media and Latvians can point at Russians as being this like always in opposition, enemies of the state. Look
bad,
at them, they're covering like. Yeah, and even the comment section, like Russian local comment section, they're supporting me. They're saying, "Oh, what's wrong with this government? What's going on?" While Latvian is almost exclusively, "Oh, good job, state security. No communism is allowed in Latvia," and they're just completely like putting a lot of shit on people, like for going out for the protest, and they're saying, "Oh, if you don't like Latvia, go to Russia, go to the real communist country." People actually think that Russia is a communist country. Well, that's why it's very daunting in Latvia. Yes, this dude went to the television, but it was like a section, Russian section, and it was like it wasn't. It didn't gain this momentum, unfortunately. Even though it had some traction, and people in Twitter and Facebook, which are the biggest like platforms for Latvia, people mostly discuss stuff on Twitter and in Facebook. There was some traction and people discussing it, but usually it's completely dominated by nationalists who are just like saying that, oh, this collective is communist, everyone should be deported, not just Vladislav, everyone should be like, we should put them onto jail because Marxism equals destruction of family, destruction of Latvia, and what else was there? Property. And destruction of private property, which is, of course, it's unacceptable. So the discourse is absolutely crazy there. Yet I have to say that we do have this division between youth and basically Gen Z and some millennials who lived abroad and then went back to Latvia, they are quite supportive. For example, the art scene, some of the alternative like media also helping us. So it's not that bad. And among people who actually do something and who actually have some kind of experience in organizing, I do have support, and our collective has support, and it's not a gun case in this sense. But how it would affect my case, we will see on 18th of July. That's where I will get the decision from the court.
Gosh.
So yes.
Okay. And so for now, you have essentially escaped the country because facing deportation to Russia, which you would likely be arrested for because of your pro-Ukraine takes and stuff that you've done before. So now you're in this situation. Like, I don't really know. I mean, I guess you could explain it. You don't. By the way, if I'm asking something you don't want to explain, just say I can't talk about that. Obviously. So the position you're in now, where has this led you to now, and what would be the process if, like, okay, it turns out they're like, nope, you have to stay out. What are the options for you? I know it's a bit like
what are your chances?
daunting going into it, but it's very
fucked up
serious.
of a
Yeah.
question as it is, but still,
Yeah. I'm very lucky because I also at some point in life I also considered moving to the Netherlands to study, and that's why I applied for Dutch residence permit, and I now at least I have Dutch residence permit, and now reside in Netherlands, where I can stay legally without any trouble.
Quick question, because I'm in a relatively
yes,
similar. Quick question, because I'm relatively similar to you. I have a permanent residency card from the country that I live in, which is not the country where I'm directly from, and I know that it is pretty difficult to kick someone out or remove a permanent residency card unless, I don't know, they shot a motherfucker. Even if you break, like, I don't know, I robbed the grandma, they will put me in jail, but they will not take away my permanent residency. I will exit jail and continue, living a regular life. So your unless, again, as Little Bear said, unless you can't share. So your permanent residency thing is with, you said Denmark, or what did you say?
Netherlands.
No, my permanent residency with Latvia. My permanent one is with Latvia, and because it's like in EU, they have this program where if you have permanent residency with one country, you can obtain like an extra one of some other country. And but you will not be entitled for benefits. It won't be like permanent. You will just be able to live and work there. And that's why, like, I obtained like a Dutch one just in case. I didn't know. Maybe I felt something coming. I don't know. And also, I applied. I got myself an Armenian. I also got myself Armenian passport because at the time I was not even at the time, I already applied successfully for cancellation of my Russian citizenship, so that I won't encounter any kind of like similar issues in future. Because if I would ever want to go back to Russia, I can go there with Armenian passport, or I can, go there. Restoring Russian passport is much easier than it's quite easy.
So I have friends that have done it.
So that's why, like, I have double citizenship now, and I do have some options around it. And of course, they the Latvian government doesn't care that I apply for cancellation of citizenship. They don't care that I haven't visited Russia since the start of invasion. It's still kind of, you're still the enemy of the state. And maybe I can also give like a little context, because every Russian citizen in Latvia is checked by security services all the time, and they monitor. It's like an open. It's absolutely open. It's not a secret that they monitor every Russian citizen social media. It's constantly monitored. If you support Putin, if you write something critical about NATO, you can be at least interviewed with state security, at maximum deported. It's
it's an absolutely.
You know what it sounds like to me? And I'm not saying you're saying this, I'm saying this. I mean, as a South African, you can imagine exactly what this seems like to me. Okay, it straight up is just an apartheid structure, essentially, except there is, except there is not that stringent separation of people, I guess, on the streets. But in every single other aspect, it seems very similar. I'm saying that, not you, just to make it very clear, in case you can't. But yeah. But
Yeah, I think we had some. Actually, we had some like people also comparing this, comparing it with when we started basically organizing around Palestine. Some comrades also like what in the discussion mentioned that it like this the situation in Gaza and West Bank is familiar to me because I went through the 90s as a Russian in Latvia, so I kind of empathize with them. But of course, it's a bit over the top because, of course, like Russian citizens and Russian ethnical Russians in Latvia, they can go. It's relatively easy for them to get Latvian citizenship, especially for those who were brought up in Latvia. It's just extra bureaucracy, extra humiliation, and when you were born in a country and you denounce citizenship, of course, many like older people, they're just like very angry and they are very frustrated that how is it possible? Why am I not welcomed in this my own country? But I wouldn't say that people are like significantly disadvantaged or like pursued to the same kind of degree as in South Africa or in Palestine. Even like if we compare, for example, Palestinians who have like Israeli passport and Russians who have Latvian passport in Latvia, I think it's still not even closely comparable because it's just like it's
in its extreme, but essentially, I mean, and I'm not going to get into the weeds of this. Apartheid is just when there are laws that mean that certain people in the country get certain rights and other people don't. And so for me, as soon as there's like government enforced rules and like one group of people, one ethnic group of people get certain rights and the other group doesn't, that's apartheid. That's as simple as it gets. It can get as extreme as you want, but you can use the term. Okay? Of course, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I see the resemblance for sure. And as I mentioned. Yes, and I think that one spicy thing that I forgot to mention about this like Marxist circle who was banned. One of the comrades there was Lithuanian, and he was deported from Latvia to a Lithuanian border. I think it was the very first like deportation of Lithuanian from Latvia. That's why like border guards didn't exactly know what to do. They just like drove to the border, like there's the sign like Lithuania, and they just said, okay, there's your stop, go. And that's basically it. Yeah. And talking about the border guards, it's also a crazy story because border guards started also kind of harassing me. They went to the house of my employer at the time, and they started asking, why am I not fired? Instantly, the same kind of week that I went away by my own like will, like trying to cooperate and say that it is just misunderstanding, I will appeal. They went to my to my employer, asking why am I still working. They went to my university, like in person, asking about me. They went to my neighbors, and they were like looking at me, like to me everywhere. And it's also like crazy how there is no, even like how intrusive can it be?
Yeah, but well, that's the start of the turning of the cog of the machine of, let's call it a relatively passive apartheid system. You especially are an additionally easy target, not only because you openly started introducing people to Marxism, but also because you're not even a second-class citizen of the country. You're quite literally an immigrant that has permanent residency. You're the perfect ethnic category to target when it comes to the whole state giving a pitch about how it's really putting a knife to the throat of the pro-Russian, pro-communist agitators in the country, etc., etc. You're ticking every single box, basically, is what I'm saying when it comes to if I was the intelligence apparatus of the country and I wanted somebody to blame and I wanted to waste a bunch of taxpayer money, pretty much, you would be like a complete win-win-win-win from every single perspective, which is incredibly unfortunate for you, and it absolutely fucking sucks. And if it does work on you, they will definitely do it on another person and another person and another person, and eventually, if if that's the long-term plan of the intelligence apparatus, eventually even do it to the local large minority which has the special documents, etc., etc. So it's experiment after experiment after experiment. And you were just you landed perfectly. I don't know how they found you. Maybe that fucking cunt, sorry, that nice person that have ended up changing
The
their
goofy
mind.
spy.
Yeah,
It's dialectical Kant,
yeah, and absolutely. Yeah, but now you're completely in the limelight. Let's just hope that there. I'm gonna sound like a liberal here, but that they're division of power is legitimate, and that the legislative body is independent of political influence by the executive body or the intelligence apparatus, and how that's going to play out. Because from what you said now, completely removing the ideological lens of comrade to comrade, it doesn't sound like they have a case. I don't think they have a case. So if again, the judges and so on are not too politicized, I think you might be able to get off the hook. Which is leading me to like my main thing, and this is always a very awkward and fucked up question to ask, especially with somebody that's you what, like 8 years, you have an apartment, you build your whole fucking life there. So ignoring
You got a
that
fiance,
part,
like
ignoring that part,
yeah, it's
like these people are screaming at you like we are not a place for a progressive-minded person who happens to be of the Russian ethnicity, etc., etc. What, except for obviously the massive material fucking problem of you having built your life, having a career, having an apartment, having a lovely partner, obviously. Like, doesn't it scream inside of your soul to just say, okay, you know what, fuck off, eat my ass, and fucking leave? I don't know.
Yeah, I would really love to say that, but I also feel that it's like a field of struggle, and it's very important because it's not just me.
There you go.
There are a lot of recently over this year. Like before us, it was easy to live in this illusion that there is this, that we live in like in a democracy. There is this, as you mentioned, liberal notion of like different sets of power. I would just quickly comment on that because I just remembered that I talked with my lawyer, and there are no successful cases against state security, even if they're completely like
wow.
100% incorrect. If they have zero case, never ever they even when they admit, yes, yeah, we actually fucked up, doesn't matter. The judge will always be on their side. Even we had also, as the Palestinian movement, some of our comrades, like our very first protest was banned because it was not secure, right? And they also mentioned in the reasons they mentioned, in your security of the protest, you have just 2 girls, and they said girls, like
What?
in Latvian.
What?
Yes, they
what
said
does that mean?
you have like girls. Because we applied for the protest and security, our security, like there were just 2 female comrades there, right? And they said,
That's what.
30-year-old, my
Oh
partner
my
is
lord!
adding there.
Oh my lord! Okay, now I got it. Sorry.
And
What
they
the
said
fuck?
that,
Yeah.
they said that, you just have like 2 girls, and that's why it's not secure enough. And of course, like
Oh my
then
god.
later on, we applied again and again, and like I think for the third time that we applied, like they actually said yes, only because also my partner, she said to them, do you know which other country bans Palestinian protest in European Union? It's Hungary. And then there are people like, oh, no, of course, yes, if it's Hungary, we don't want to be associated with Hungary. Yeah, you can go because we respect freedom of speech. Of course, now they
Yeah.
respect. Uh, So yes, and we
The
basically
liberal aesthetic
we
grift
went to the
of
court and tried.
Latvia is impressive. Jesus Christ. Sorry, it's like
Okay, I needed a little bit of explanation for that as someone who, does not understand the dynamics of why
That's
that
not
comparison is
that's not
bad.
the only
it,
story.
it's
I know about Hungary's politics and how right wing it is, but is it like a thing within Europe? Like comparisons to Hungary is like, no, we're not like Hungary, you know?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
basically
Uh,
Hungary is Eurosceptic and sometimes pro-Russian. We absolutely love the European Union, and obviously we are anti-Russian Federation. But most important, like caveat there, correct me if I'm wrong, is we the European Union as a project is liberal. So from that perspective, we are European Union liberals. But when it comes to domestic policy, we are right wingers. But from the perspective of the European Union, we are defining Hungary as right wing. So we are not right wing like Hungary because Hungary's right wing is anti-EU. We are pro-EU right wing, which is European Union liberalism. So I like to call it just aesthetic liberalism.
That's-
We do,
yeah.
That's it's.
Okay, all right.
That's like those
I see it
savages
now.
over there in
Okay.
Hungary. The only difference is like the savages in Hungary are not pro EU. That's the same. You're doing the same thing to local minorities, to fucking everything is the same. Just one likes the Moscow PP, the other one likes the Belgium PP. That's it. Like milking the different dick. Sorry for the vulgarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely brilliant. Like that's how it is. It's very precise. I think that we will also use it, in future.
The dick
some
allegory,
parts of this,
especially. I apologize.
For the Americans, I guess it's just the difference between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. They're basically the same, but it's just the aesthetic
Yeah.
presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, going further with like what else is like going on, that we also have a very strong like Zionist lobby in Latvia. There was a whole new organization created by Zionists, which is called Jew United. Like no, I mean that's you can give them at least that they tried to
Yeah.
make a funny name.
Mm.
Yeah, they're trying to whitewash, pinkwash Israel. They're like organizing like this techno parties. They're like they'll only do it like almost as if they just want to use the budget that embassy is giving to them. So, but what they're doing is every pro-Palestinian protest that was organized, they just go out there, take pictures of every participant, like face, and start writing administrative cases of anti-Semitism and that we want to destroy all Jews. For example, they managed to create a precedent that from the river, no, you know what the else?
Yeah.
Slogan. Also, Intifada is illegal to say. And some other, but we managed to also the bloody hands, like the two palms of the bloody two palms, is illegal. It's also like symbol of anti-Semitism, and they've been writing a lot of administrative cases, and their tactic is to. Write administrative case, give us a warning. So luckily, we at least don't pay any fines. But so far, yes, and but the person who receives this administrative case cannot organize a protest. So they just want to maximize people
Kill it off.
who are exposed, so that we to kill it off. Yes, that's another thing. And
Sorry, I'll interrupt you just for a second to give
recently,
context to chat. So they are basically, correct me if I'm wrong, they are pro-Israel because that's the status quo European Union position. If tomorrow, that's how most of the Baltic states work, at least from my foreigner perspective. If tomorrow Brussels is like, no, what the fuck, we are launching Dongfeng missiles on Tel Aviv, like all the Baltic countries are going to be like, let's fucking go. Like it's just whatever they say, we listen. So because obviously we are important NATO members, we want the guns because we are afraid of a Russian invasion. At least that's the pitch. Most likely it's, capitalist induced, fucking milking as much money out of the whole spiel as possible while maintaining reactionary policy domestically by othering the minority. But what thing I said earlier. But yeah, so it's not like, Lithuanians and Latvians and Estonians have like this deep connection to the Israeli, Zionist direction. It's just because Brussels said, I like Zionism. So they're like, oh, what is that? Whatever, but I like it too. Like that's tell me if I'm wrong.
It's so true. It's so true, and it's also very interesting because there were some signals from let's say Brussels that maybe we should go a little bit easier on Zionism, and that's how with this little wave there is also a little bit change also in Latvia. Like for example, like the media starts to talk a little bit more about Palestine, and also recently, for example, they even started showing No Other Land, the film, the documentary on national streaming service. It was like a shock to us. Wow, okay, there is a significant change.
There you go.
And also Latvia is voting pro Palestine in the in the United Nations voting. So it's not all that bad. But recently, the Minister of Internal Affairs of Israel came to Riga. It was like a more or less like not an official visit. It was unannounced. It wasn't announced prior. And two of our comrades wanted to protest it, at least to some degree, because we cannot protest it immediately. It's a big process of how to apply for a protest. You cannot protest like that. You need to warn the municipality 10 days before, and maybe they will not cancel it. But if you just go pop up with the protest, you will be there will be an administrative case or even worse. So two of our comrades made a little flash mob. Basically, they stood on the highway, next to the highway with kufias and the flags, because they knew that at the time there would be a car with Israeli. Yes. They were standing there and policemen came to them twice. First time they came, they managed to fight back, to say, okay, we have the right to stay here. It's not a manifestation. They're literally two people. And they also kind of defended their rights, and policemen were just a bit shocked that somebody knows how to talk with the police, and they went away. Another set of Another set of policemen came later on, and they decided to use very polite tactics. Now they're very good police. They came and said, okay, we understand. Let us just stay with you because we want to protect you or whatever.
Okay.
Right? They wanted and they were just hanging out with them for I don't know, for 3 hours or something. It was also funny. Yeah.
Many cigarettes were smoked.
But they gave, yeah. But then they actually gave an administrative case to one of them at the end of all that.
For what?
Actually, my partner sent 2 administrative cases. For unsanctioned protest, basically. That's how, unfortunately, that's how it is. And even the most interesting thing that, Latvia is at least compared to Lithuania is in general is a bit more progressive than Latvia in terms of left-wing movement, because in the 90s the ruling party of Lithuania was Social Democrat, and even today leftist movement in Lithuania is 10 years ahead of us. They have independent trade union, they have social centers, they have even a party which is more or less independent and grassroots based, but in terms of LGBT plus issues, Lithuania is very, very conservative, and even the pride here, you would have a lot of pro-Jesus, pro-life activists, you guys will burn in hell kind of guys. And Latvia, and also of course it's illegal to have same-sex marriage or even partnership. In Latvia, Latvia is kind of positions itself as more progressive because we have openly gay president. We have also recently there is a legalized civil partnership among same-sex people, but at the same time, recently I don't remember if they took this law, but while this law about not they wanted to make it illegal to have a Latvian flag together with pride flag. Because it's kind of discredits Latvian national identity.
Big problem.
And what happened? this law wasn't taken. It was just like under discussion. And while the pride was happening, in end of July, while the pride was happening, we had a bunch of comrades from trans community with this kind of flag with like rainbow together with Latvian. They were suspended by police, like almost to the point of applying force to them, and they were given like an administrative case, even though there is no even like a law passed about it. So this kind of like repression is like going further and further, and we feel that even if yes, I'm like deported for good and I'm not appealed, if we don't create some kind of case around it and attract like maybe even international solidarity, it would be more like there would be more and more pressure. And like this kind of case, it's a good moment to attract attention of people to this and to say
Very
to tell
wise.
that only with activism, only with organization, we can fight it and defend our rights.
You're
Like
seeing it
I'm
as an
not talking
opportunity.
about any like not revolution, not like I don't know taking power or whatever, just like basically defending our rights. So far, like at least defending our rights as tenants with tenants unions, defending our rights as like workers with workers unions, like defending our democracy by like having not just parliament which is completely bureaucratically outside of people, but to have some kind of grassroots connection. And this sounds like if you for Marxist theorists, it sounds like very basic, like it's not, it's very reformist. But apparently, in Latvian context,
Oh,
even
it's
these
yeah,
things
yeah.
are ambitious, very
Very
ambitious.
impressive.
Uh,
Absolutely.
No, of course. Okay. So I guess okay, I had a question, but sorry, I literally forgot it. So I guess just continue. But yeah.
No,
I wanted to share one story
please.
also. One small story, because when my case happened, I started to get a lot of like different similar stories. We had a friend who is left leaning, and he's a playwright. He's like from theater, and he staged a play. It's not Marxist, it's not leftist, it's just featured a scene where two guys in the kitchen drunk were talking about Marx. That's
Oh
it.
my
There is
goodness.
no plan.
Classic.
Just two guys were talking about Marx, and he was invited for interview for security services. I kid you not.
Are they going to ban people from playing, American Pie by Don McLean because there's a line that says when Lenin wrote a book on Marx in it? Like,
Yeah, I
what?
mean, if they want it, they can. If they want, they will do it. And another fantastic thing
That's
that our
insane.
state security services and their website official, they have a pamphlet how to spot left-wing radical, and it's so brilliant. It says that left-wing radical have cannibalistic lozungs like "eat the rich."
Yeah,
It also
baby.
says
Yes,
it
let's
also
take it
says that
literally
they all.
cannibalistic.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course, we like very literally want to eat the rich because for state security. If you're watching that, I'm not a cannibal. I don't want to eat the rich. Okay, please.
State security. Have you ever
Because
heard of
maybe
allegories and metaphors? So, oh God.
it's too difficult. I will
It's
need another lecture for spies to go to another lecture about allegories and
about the
metaphors so that they can report to state security and
yeah. Oh
explain to them.
Lord.
And also, being dressed in all black is a sign of being a left-wing radical.
No.
Goths are communists. Let's go. I always knew it, but now
Also,
the state has proven it officially. Goth mommies are all also
also,
goth communist mommies. Oh Lord.
being anti-imperialist in any kind of anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist sentiment is a sign of radicalism. And what they offer is, if you spot a left-wing radical, advise them to go to a psychiatrist. Like officially, they even put the
No.
number. And recently, also, the state security created like
So
a
absurd.
youth organization to prevent left-wing terrorism. It's called Prevent, I think, something like that. Yeah. And they like kind of recruit young people, I don't know, to spy on, I think to spy on everyone, officially, openly, like to prevent radicalization of society. And I have to add that we do have Nazis, we do have like boneheads, and police is very, very light on them. We had cases where
Because they're
like
their
our
sons and
young
daughters, or sometimes their colleagues, like, of course.
Yeah, we had a case where our friend, who's underage, like 17-year-old, he was beaten up by boneheads while the police were basically looking. He was being harassed openly for yellow shoelaces, while police is like, oh, there is nothing like to worry about. And they're like, it's very concerning that, yeah, how tolerant, like, you know, police is to Nazism and right wing, even though there was some big, you know, like cases where people were jailed, but like usually it's after they've done like something like already like openly illegal. But just for the left wing extremism, like people can walk around with like swastikas on their like hands, and it's completely fine. Yeah, no, I mean it's not for any kind of left wing activist. It's not a surprise at all. But
I would argue it's one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult places on planet Earth to develop any sort of left-wing pitch. It's completely ruled, like it's not even ruled by right-wing ideologues. Like right-wing ideology has been so naturalized in every nook and cranny of civic and government life that it is, you know, the status quo. It is the natural state of being, and questioning it does not imply, you know, you questioning some radical right-wing ideology. Questioning it implies questioning the status quo of the state and of civic life, and therefore you are immediately, you know, a traitor, or you want to destabilize the country, or you want to, etc., etc. All, you know, labels that probably are thrown pretty commonly at you. It's I can't think of an alternative country, I don't know, fucking Saudi Arabia or something, when it comes to pitching leftist ideas that are more fucked up than where you're at, for real. And that's why what you said,
honestly,
what you said is like was very important. That's why, you know, and I really commend your bravery that you're going to utilize the publicity of this particular case to potentially bring light towards just how absolutely irrational and insane and, you know, borderline Looney Tunes it is for the state to be so aggressively cracking down on everyone that, you know, makes a play in which characters talk about Marx while being drunk in the kitchen. Characters.
And leading on from that,
it's crazy.
Okay, I'll let you continue, Dory. I won't forget what I need to ask now, so you can continue. But
Sorry.
I'll let you talk.
I wanted also to add like about a few words about Estonia first, because in Estonia, and also why there are no left-wing kind of older people, you know, why there is no continuation. And in Estonia, for example, the older like generation of activists, they were just like terrorized by the state. None of them were jailed, none of them were like deported, but state was constantly threatening them individually, in a group, and that's why they couldn't form a collective, because they were scared. And right now in Estonia, there are many kind of like individuals and a lot of cool artists who are left wing, and there is like stuff boiling, but they cannot form like a collective.
Yeah.
Like there is like special cases here and there, but it's difficult to form something like that would be, you know, a center of magnetism for everyone. While in Lithuania, it's already the case. They do have the structure, and in Latvia, we're just about like we're just starting. Like, and we are. I think this is as Yuga put. It's actually just an attack to like ruin any kind of chances of activism from the very beginning. But what I also wanted to say that in Russia, unfortunately, it's also very, very difficult to organize any any left-wing kind of discourse, because maybe you have heard about Boris Kagarlitsky case, one of the biggest Russian Marxists who's been jailed in Soviet Union, then during Yeltsin, then during Putin, and now he's jailed again, even though he's filtering himself so much. Like, he was filtering, like he was calling the war like the special military operation, and he was like very polite, and he's jailed nonetheless. And a lot of Marxist comrades are jailed in Russia and tortured. And luckily, at least in Latvia, we are not tortured and jailed, you know. And that's something that we have to be not tortured and jailed yet. As in Simpsons, it's your worst day of your life yet.
Yeah.
What a crazy reference.
Yeah.
It was of your life so far. Yeah.
Yeah, so far, exactly,
there we go.
exactly, yeah. So I just wanted to give this shout out to Russian comrades, since we also try to build bridges also with like some of the Russian Marxists who like stand against the imperialist war and stand for, you know, like peace and unity and so forth. Yeah, of course, like in Latvia, it's in ideological level and in the level of activism. I think every country is exactly the same counter-revolutionary. It's just that some countries have strong communities who can defend themselves. Like, I don't know, like in Netherlands or in France, there are so many like left-wing communities that nobody would go after like a person who just reads a lecture. There it's called being a student. And I would be a very non-radical student if I would go to France or Italy or Greece, you know. But there people actually stand for each other. And I remember a cool case that me and my partner went to Thessaloniki, and we went to university there just to check it out. And we saw students that like they have hammers and sickles and Palestinian flags everywhere, and they're saying that they are like barricading the university. That they're asking for BDS. They're asking for like divestment from Israel, and we're asking them, but how can you do it? Doesn't police come and beat you up? And they said, yes, of course they do, but we fight back, you know. And then I thought, okay, because in Riga, in Latvia, of course, it would be the same thing. Police would come to beat us up, but there won't be hundreds of students, like because it's just like I don't know.
That's why they're currently doing it preemptively. They don't want something like that to form. That's the whole point. That's literally the whole point.
Exactly.
They're not jumping. And then they know what they're doing. Yep.
And then, you know, leading on from this, I guess, you know, I don't know how much our viewers or us in particular can do, but we want to do anything to like try and help you. So what would you recommend as like, you know, the viewers here, people who are like, okay, let's try and get this story out there. Let's tell, you know, your like liberal auntie about this. Maybe they've got a Latvian friend they can call up and be like, hey, did you hear about this? So what would you like us to share, and what would you like us to do and our viewers to do? If possible.
You're asking me, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I think that of course like this stream already is a big help to us. So it's just like to put across what Latvia is about, and that EU is not as monolith, you know. Like there are if some people like in France or the UK are organizing and facing one set of problems, for us in Latvia it's much worse. And I think that just to spread this around, maybe to, you know, help us with the media outreach, to spread our press release around the media, leftist media, or just
share my screen quickly. I'll share my screen quickly. But this article here that you send, is this something you'd like to just send around? This one in particular, because you sent me an Instagram page, which I'm not too sure. And then you sent me this list, and I was like, oh, okay, it's probably this one right here. But this one is the one to send around and talk to. Okay, all right, perfect. I'll post that in the chat for everybody.
Please do. Spam it
this
straight
article
up.
was prepared by our Scottish comrades, and it's based on our press release that we prepared with explanation of the situation. And the Instagram page is our page where we post the it's the page of our collective basically, and we post the updates, we share the stories there, and of course if it's possible to support us financially, it would also be very appreciated, and we have the link for buy me a coffee,
Ah,
because we do it all like out of our own pocket, out of donations, and we try to be as non-commercial as possible, and of course yeah, it's also quite
Of
tough,
course,
and any
give a link.
support like would also be appreciated. But yeah, beyond that, if anybody can come, just come to Riga, to Latvia, it would also be fantastic. We could like host any of the comrades, and you know, to show Latvia, show how the movement is growing and what like Baltic states is about. It's not actually that daunting. And this Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are fantastic countries and have fantastic people. You know, yeah, it's the governments are sometimes, you know, questionable, let's say it like that, and doing human rights violations. But
as is
yeah,
every single government. You know, but it's just different levels of. I mean, it's a completely different world for me in South Africa, obviously in the global south, and it would probably blow your mind. Um, Here, the politicians here have to grift to the left, so they have to grift on left-wing issues. Like all of our past presidents have been designated. They're like out and about. They say they're socialists. They're not. They're fucking neoliberals. So you know, it's a completely different world. And yeah, of course, with regards to like Europe, it's very much just the same flavor to differing degrees throughout. You know, as I'm hearing over and over again, with Hungary being like the one exception, the freak out of everybody else, but still every single country is doing the same, you know? But yeah, of course. And then I guess we can open up to the chats if anybody has any questions. I don't mind reading them out, but just specifically, just so I don't get confused with other people's questions, just type question and then write your question, and then we can like pick through all of them. But yeah,
Please do. As we're waiting for the questions to come in, I just wanted to say, you know, you, to an extent, I didn't expect the conversation to go in that direction, but you gave me optimism when it comes to a potential, even minuscule growth of a leftist movement in the region, almost exclusively from you as an example. 99.9% of people would be completely dissuaded when facing the problems that you are, and yet you see potential, as I said earlier, opportunity in this entire apparatus, which is directed at you, as a potential to bring more attention and to even grow future, you know, organizing in the country proper. So. I'm not just obviously I'm giving you a compliment which you deserve more than anything else, but I'm also
yeah.
inspired by the fact that a comrade without many to his left or to his right, I mean shoulder to shoulder, in, you know, in the physical world, and, you know, in the grass touching land, is still willing to stand so strong behind his principles, that if that doesn't inspire people, I don't fucking know what will. And if anybody listening to this, you know, has 7 million excuses on why they're not organizing IRL, please look at this gentleman and what the fuck he's doing, and you will realize that your excuses are not on par. Let's just say this. So yeah, I'm inspired. And that fucking rarely happens. Trust me. Massive hats off.
Thank you very much for kind words. I'm actually, yeah, I'm very flattered, but I'm very lucky not to be in prison or tortured, and I'm relatively off. I'm supported by community of loving people, and yes, and organizing. It's not just like, you know, suffering. It's also finding like loving people and loving community and something to have meaning, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's yeah, it's also very rewarding in this like very, you know, again, dialectical kind of way. Like,
Yeah, of course it is.
yeah,
Of course it is. But also you're being modest, which I fucking hate. So please stop.
Okay, I'll start with the questions. I'm gonna jump around, but I will get to everyone.
Please do. Yeah, go on. Get some water,
Okay,
you
so
guys
I'm gonna
go.
start with Commie Space Invader. Question I left during the beginning. Can you please reintroduce yourself? Like, what's your name? And just a brief introduction, just for people that just came in to know who you are and what this is about. I mean, they can also go back in the VOD, but I want to get to every question.
Sorry, I mean,
Oh, you want me to say it again? Okay. So just reintroduce yourself
yeah.
briefly, like what your
Yeah.
name is, and then, briefly, why are you here?
Yeah, okay. My name is Vlad. I'm an activist from Latvia, and I was deported from Latvia, blacklisted as a national threat, and deported for basically left-wing extremism and communistic beliefs. Like the state security doesn't elaborate any further. It has been confirmed that we were being spied on, and the spies confessed that. It's long story, but now I'm campaigning, and my comrades in Latvia campaigning to bring me back and to use this to build momentum, to build a wider leftist movement and support in Latvia. Yeah, that's
Okay.
in 2 words.
Yeah. All right. Question from Robo Astronaut Cat. Hey, so what is it like for Palestinian immigrants in Latvia? If there are any, I'm curious. I'm not sure if oh, okay,
Very good question, actually. Yes, we do have of course, there is no we know maybe 3 or 2 Palestinian immigrants. Yes, it's not easy at all for them because usually they have to have very high qualifications and be indispensable to Latvia to maintain a good status there, and. It's also very difficult to bring any kind of relatives with them, and it's also very spied upon. So obviously, every Palestinian in Latvia, at least okay, we know just 2, right? And one of them is even just half lives in Latvia or something, right? And all of them are being spied on. All of them being called for security service to talk. And because of 7th of October, they've been asked "Oh, do you support Hamas?" and so on. And it's also quite ugly. And yeah, to be honest, we don't have that big of a international community in Latvia from Middle East, and we do have some solid community of people of students and from India and from Pakistan, and local people are being very racist against them. And even a month before I was deported, I witnessed in my flat, in my house, there were reporters together with border police going around and asking everyone, "Have you seen the brownies?" And I'm like, "What
Oh
are you
my
talking
goodness.
about?" And then they were the reporters were saying that, and reporters said to me, "No, the brownies, the kebabs," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? Go fuck yourself!" And it was absolutely crazy. And the level of racism is also very much perpetuated by the media in Latvia, and they're deliberately constructing this image of white replacement and all this old-fashioned racist propaganda, and people do believe it. And if it's not Russians who are to blame, they would blame, I don't know, this 12 or 50 students from India who are just working hard labor jobs of deliveries or service and so forth.
Okay, and so the next question is also sort of being answered through the discussion, but you can, I guess, briefly summarize because it's summarizing the whole thing. So the next question is from Kubashi. How strong is leftism in Latvia? Which, we've been into depth,
yeah,
but I
so
guess it's just a summary. Yeah.
Yeah. Summarizing, left-wing ideas in Latvia are crushed, right? And they've been crushed consecutively. So after the collapse of Soviet Union, as in many post-Soviet countries, left-wing ideas have been like very much attacked, right, and very much frowned upon by the general public. And any kind of left-wing discourse, you start talking about trade unions, you start talking about workers' rights, people will say, "Oh, we lived under communism, we know what it is, we don't need it anymore." And that's like a universal argument. And yes, in Latvia, even like anarchism is also absolutely crushed, and left like 2 generations of left-wing activists were like terrorized to the point that they had to, I don't know, go and live in the countryside as a commune. Basically, it's confirmed thing. Like previous generation of anarchists, they just live in a commune somewhere outside. They don't really up for contacting us or helping us or whatever. And basically, there are no places to even discuss anything left-wing. You cannot go to the bar. Yeah. You cannot go to the bar and talk about, "Oh, I love Marx." You know, people will frown upon you and you will not feel comfortable doing it. There are barely some leftist films shown here and there, barely some discussions about Zizek. Yes, and it is very tough. But I would say that general people are... Sorry?
Oh no, just sounds going off from a raid. Please, no, it's
Okay. And basically rounding it up, I think that, but there is still a very big soil for people to to organize, because a lot of Generation Z people in Latvia, through watching TikTok, for being exposed like also to the going to the West and seeing other collectives, and they are very they're ready to like to question like liberalism and some of the basic like this like common sense ideological things. And I think there is a huge potential. I think maybe in 2 years we will have if not renaissance, but some kind of significant increase in left-wing sentiment.
That makes perfect sense. Like I like to say, the post-Soviet world, the post-socialist experiment world in general is where, how do I put this, where the Red Scare 3.0 is being not only tested out, but has been most successfully applied to in history, even better than arguably in the United States. But as you beautifully put, like with travel, with the younger generations, with access to pretty much the internet and interacting with media and sources and information and videos and shows that they might not have had access to like 20 years ago, because they would just be watching whatever is on cable TV. Those ideas can potentially spread with people like yourself, obviously on the ground, being able to utilize that to the core. But also, like from just a classic like Marxian perspective, people need to understand that the first, for example, 10 to 15 years of developing a free market economy are absolute fucking nightmare. Okay, that's what we all like to call the 90s consecutively, like in every nook and cranny, in some places much worse than in other places. But that period is horrible. But afterwards, there is a sort of like early stage opening up of the free market, early stage capitalism, etc., which has less hyper concentration of capital when it comes to, the petit bourgeois, the small local businesses, the so-called, as cringe as it sounds, entrepreneurial spirit. So it does generate a relatively comfortable way of life for a very large part of the population. But we are now seeing, 35 years after the fall of the Soviet Union, a lot of these countries entering the later stages of greater monopolization of capital, of large foreign capital entering the country, buying everything out, and opportunities for domestic aspiring capitalists or aspiring, labor aristocrats and very well-educated proletarians and so on is lowering, and that will give potential fertile ground for people to start re-questioning just how amazing and liberatory this capitalism that we've been given post post-counter-revolution, or call it whatever you want, is seeming to be. And that's fertile ground for both the growth of barbarism, but also for the growth of socialism, depending on what organizations are on the ground to utilize those particular contradictions. So yeah, that it absolutely makes sense. That's why, Eastern Europe, Central Europe, Northern, all post, Soviet and post-socialist countries, their potential, ironically, to interacting with class-conscious politics is far further in the future than countries that have never had any sort of, not successful or unsuccessful, any sort of socialist experiment in their past. It's a very absurd but very true dichotomy of.
It's certainly
potential.
interesting because it's not something that I would ever assume at all. Like, I don't really. I mean, I've lived in Europe before, but as a kid, but I've never understanding, the interpolitics between, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and everything sort of in between is something that is very new to me, and I have only really learned through interactions with other Europeans on Twitch and things like that. Yeah. All right. I'll go to the next question. I don't know how, and if you can answer this. So please, if you are I'm not going to answer this, go for it. So, question: how can we develop a mutual Balto-Slavic indigenous movement analogous to the Zapatistas?
We have our comrades who would ironically write a whole book about it and would be so happy to tell you about it. Dax, if you're watching that, this is question for you. Okay, I'm not qualified to even start answering that.
All right.
Maybe we will write a pamphlet, ironic pamphlet about it in Minecraft, and we'll share it.
Yes.
On the
someday.
server.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Kerry Harnline. Question: you talked about this automatic response that the Latvian people and the government have to scary terms like Marxism. Okay. When you advocate for leftist programs or policies, are Latvians equally scared? Is it just about these scary sounding terms? So this is, I guess, the difference of the government reaction to these terms versus the public. And I mean, specifically, I guess the question is directed to Latvians and not the Russian population. Is it just about these scary sounding terms?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we were also kind of trying to find our way around it. And initially, we were thinking based on this example of this Marxist circle that I was talking about, who was just banned after they kind of symbolically supported Russia by standing for this monument, right? Basically, we were thinking that anything that if we would openly support Ukraine, and we would openly state that we are against Putin, and which we are, and we would just highlight it a bit further, and we would avoid any kind of pro-Russian, pro-Kremlin accusation, we would be fine. And we were thinking that these are the evil words, that we should avoid. And also, by consequence, we would need to avoid anything Soviet Union related, right? For example, I don't know, any kind of Stalin books, or even Lenin. We had discussion: maybe we should remove and not display anything by Lenin. Yes, but then of course later on, as we experimented, basically we found out that actually, even if we completely go away even from Marxism, and we would openly, even if we would denounce Marxism and go into anarchism, doesn't matter, because even if we say we're anti-fascist, being anti-fascist in Latvia meaning supporting Putin, because unfortunately it's there was an organization in Latvia which called themselves anti-fascist, and they were supporting Putin on the grounds that that Putin has this narrative that invasion of Ukraine is denazification, and he is the ultimate anti-fascist by doing that. And there was a group of people who were considering Latvia also to be this fascist state, and they're anti-fascist, and they're basically like, calling for Putin to come and to make an order. And that's why there is this huge mark on any of the terms now related even to anti-fascism.
Gosh.
And yes, unfortunately. And we were thinking that, yeah, we were trying to like very much filter ourselves and to use, this dog whistling words. For example, we were not trying. I was trying not to talk about like explicitly Marxism, like the orthodox one. I was trying to talk about critical theory, for example, or feminist theory, of queer theory, and which is basically, yes, it's all the ideas of the same spectra within the same kind of like orbit, right? And we would not like lie to our audience in this sense. We were talking about critical theory, and then also we were thinking about renaming our anarchist book fair to autonomous book fair. And because we basically are, at the end of the day, we work by consensus, and consensus was no. We still need to go with the anarchist book fair because we kind of need to stand for our principles. And I don't know, like it's very difficult to say what would happen if we would rename ourselves or if we didn't use the word Marx. And we were joking that in my presentation I could have just had one slide where there would be a word Marxism, and that's it. That would be enough to deport me.
Gosh.
We can only speculate here because I
Yeah, they'll
think
find any excuse.
You could have called each other like
state
hand-holding organization. Yeah.
security.
The second you posted, I don't know, on a Facebook group or on Instagram that you're doing a lecture or anything that is Marxism adjacent, they would have still done the same thing. Like if a taxi, okay, the unions don't exist, but if I don't know, taxi driver friendship group tomorrow ends up streaming a similar thing that you're streaming, they would still have the same experience. It's because there's a bunch of dudes
That's
in an
very true.
office whose entire job is, whose full salary and potential promotion is based off of finding, identifying, and getting rid of people that are defined as, I don't know, left-wing terrorists or potential terrorists or extremists, or they can title them whatever fucking way they want. It's systemic. There's a whole apparatus that's designed in order to fuck up as many people in this category as possible. That's why your case is so important, because in if it manages to push through without if it manages to be defeated and overthrown, whatever the fucking American terminology is, thrown out, whatever, judge, overruled. Then
there we go.
It's a big potential first step on creating a platform for more of this sort of stuff that will not be pursued by the state as aggressively, because they'll see there's potentially consequences of doing it so lazy. They'll still continue doing it, but not as lazy as this, right? That's at least my perspective.
Absolutely, yes. And I wanted to add that what Yuga mentioned, it's actually very true, and it was admitted by state security, since the journalists who made a story about me, they approached state security and they asked, like, why did you spy on Meisnitz? Why did you spy on this collective? And they say, we spy on everyone. We spy on every group of people together. We spy on them because it's our duty, state security. And initially, this spy who was spying on us, he was part of Fridays for Future. He was spying on Fridays for Future. And he was attending like majority of political parties rallies and meetings. So they are spying. They just openly admit that they spy preventively on any kind of gathering of people. So, and they just openly said it to the media. So, and everybody in Latvia is like, majority of people in Latvia think that it's good. It's good that they spy on people because they protect us. So I think it's any kind of dog whistles and namings. I don't think it's really the case, because like the taxi drivers friends club, I think it would also not work.
Right?
Or like how this Yaroslav Gashek, the writer who made like the Schweik, the soldier Schweik like novel, he made a party which was called at the time the Party for Moderate Progress Only Within the Law. It was like an ironic skill.
I love that. Oh fuck me.
And it was a bunch of anarchists, but they were like trying to do situationism, you know, in a way. And maybe we should call ourselves like that, you know, like, and then we would just go out and we even had a joke. Maybe we should, before every meeting, we should sing the national anthem and close also with national anthem. But I don't know. But we will see.
All right, I've got another question from Toasty Android. Question: have you considered streaming as an avenue of spreading your story?
Me personally, not really, but we have a bunch of comrades who are getting involved closely into content creation, and our collective really, like, one of our strongest ambition and goals is to launch like an independent media in Latvia, so that we would also do
that's smart.
podcasts, streamings, and everything. We just lack physical resources for that because we barely manage as volunteers to run our community space. We barely managed to organize all the protests and music events for Palestine and etc. It's super challenging in terms of human resources. That's why our goal right now is like to gather more people, to have more volunteers, to have more resources, and then of course, as we establish like more divisions, we would be able to stream and to make some, you know, publish some text materials and whatnot.
Yeah, develop your media wing. Smart. Yeah. I will have to leave you guys, unfortunately. It was an absolute pleasure meeting you.
We've got one more. We just have one more question.
Okay,
Do you
go
think
on,
you can
go
stay
on,
for
go
like just the last one? Last one.
Yeah.
So this is from a chatter who is Roma and from Bulgaria, and so what can non-Roma majority do in order to include Romani voices in politics in that area of the world? Okay, in the Baltics.
Could you please repeat the question? Is it
So
about
it's about non-Roma people. What could non-Roma people do in order to include Romani voices? So I don't know too much about the Roma population in the Baltics. I've only really learned about Bulgaria and Romania through DOOF. So I'm not entirely sure, but yeah.
I think I get it. Yes, we also do have a minority in especially in Latvia of Roma people, right? If I'm not entirely like well educated on this question, of course, and some of our comrades are doing a bit more research right now, and they're trying to reach out to Roma community to also see how they are marginalized and to study specific mechanisms of marginalization, because unfortunately Roma people in Latvia, especially in Riga, are marginalized, and they're like they're not in the best place. But we can only, like, at the moment, we can only speculate on the specific reasons and mechanism of this marginalization. We also have one of the projects to study like marginalized minorities of Latvia and to develop some kind of maybe quasi-political campaign and awareness campaign about their status and what to do. If maybe if a comrade who asked this question could reach out to our Instagram account and we can work on it together, because we would appreciate, for example, maybe some kind of like remote lecture, remote talk about Roma history. That would actually be super valuable for us.
Yes, of course, and Doof is very much into that. I will hear as I will send the Instagram and all that sort of stuff here. I'll just post it again. But
Great.
Yes, of course. Okay, and then I think that's it for the questions, and we can just wrap up now because I know Yugopnik's got to go. But I'll just say thank you so much for coming on, and once again, like, you know, when we hear about the case, I'm willing to have you on again. So you just reach out to me, and I'll organize this all again. And here's another post for everybody else. The other stuff, and there's the Instagram. And also just a big thank you to Yugopnik, because, you know, For
Thank
me,
you.
navigating a lot of the stuff to do with European politics would be very difficult. And obviously, like, you know, I respect you as a creator. We're colleagues in the space and comrades as well. So thank you for joining as well. And
Least I could do. Thank you for
yeah.
organizing it. And one more time,
Thank you so much.
mad respect for everything you're doing. Good luck with the case. Please PM me personally over on Discord. I love to try and do whatever I can to help. For the chatters, obviously links for support, especially financial support, are either pinned or being posted. Check out the Instagram, follow them there. Check out the press
financial
release.
support link is on the Instagram page. It's a link on the
It's on
Instagram
the
page.
Phenomenal.
So just for there's an Instagram page for people to know. And then here's once again this is to send to people if you've got a Latvian auntie or someone who has a Latvian like friend, you know, you said share this to people. You know, the point is to get like this out there so it doesn't get covered. So it gets covered. So there's more eyeballs on it, you know?
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hugo. I'm also a big fan of yours, and my partner also absolutely enjoys the program. And
Send my love.
we were having a blast listening, and mad respect to you, and good luck also with everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you. No, it was a genuine pleasure. And I would love to stay in contact. And who knows, maybe one day we can meet up without this annoying ass mask on my face. With Little Bear, without the wallpaper, without the profile picture, of course.
Yes, yeah.
It would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
I'll go on tour of Europe. Yeah, of
Oh,
course.
hell yeah. Especially
Anyway.
Easter. The real. No, not
Of
the real.
course.
The opposite. Don't even get me on my fucking rant about how I never say I'm from Europe. Yeah, go on.
Okay,
Thank you
all
for the
right.
kind words.
Okay, I won't. All right. All right. Well, thank you everyone. And yeah, this was absolutely wonderful. And keep in contact. And once again, you can ask me whenever you would like to come on. All right. So
Absolutely.
you let me know and I'll sort it out.
Truly,
thank you,
be proud
Hugo,
of
and
yourself.
thank you so much, Vlad. All right.
You're an impressive dude.
Thank you so much, Little Bear, for organizing it and for.
Of course. And thank you to
hosting me.
Sherman, who was the chatter who spoke to me about it in the first place and got me in contact. So,
Absolutely.
you know.
Least we could do.
Anyway.
Thank you, Little Bear.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Vlad.
Shalom.
You're an impressive specimen, man. Genuinely. Keep me updated
Yeah.
and ping me. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
You're an impressive specimen. I actually said that sentence. Well, chat, that was absolutely lovely. We got to promote a brilliant young man in his struggle, which I wouldn't wish on absolutely anyone. Incredible dedication to even attempt to organize in his country is beyond impressive. I would not have the courage or the audacity. The military apparatus, the intelligence apparatus, the state, absolutely everything is against you. Arguably the most, what I said earlier, the most staunchly, not just from the systemic perspective, but also from just, you know, the status quo ideology of the country of the nation is radically anti-communist. And for you to stay in there and fight the fight, or even in general to live there as a communist, is truly, truly impressive to me. Truly impressive. It's even making me question some of my particular opinions, because I live in a relatively similar part of the world. Ironically, not as bad as his when it comes to, you know, direct oppression of anti-communists. And I always told myself, you know, like. I will do my part online, because there's no way I can organize domestically here. It's impossible. It's a failed cause from the get-go. And then I meet this motherfucker, and he's doing it in the fucking Baltics. He's doing it in the Baltics. It's like doing free the nipple in Saudi Arabia. Do you understand me? Like, it's what? Like, really? It's in the best of ways crazy. The race science Yugopnik slipped out there at the end. Where? When? What do you do? Should talk and watch memes all day. Do something useful. Very nice bait, man. Very nice bait. I created more communists while taking a shit than you will on the ground in your entire life. But have fun. Oh. But yeah, that was awesome. Really cool person. You all have the links in the pins. Do check out and do support, both financially and just by throwing it out there. If you especially have some friends in the Baltics, it would be very kind of you to spread it around. Little Bear is still online. Let me send you guys over there. And I'll see you on Sunday. Okay? The stream was very useful in that regard, but when it comes to my fucking thing collapsing, everything else, it wasn't. I don't know why the thing immediately, the OBS collapsed in the beginning. Yeah. A bit doomer pilled, honestly. I love you guys. Bye-bye.